Which is what tends to happen in tournaments. Just hope for Messi to get to the next level.
And there was that moment in the Nigeria game for Argentina where it looked as though Sampaoli was consulting with Lionel Messi about bringing on Sergio Aguero, like he was almost checking with him. He sort of clarified that. I mean, Sampaoli can't say anything else, but he said, look, it was just normal communication with one of my players. But the senior players having that much influence, or as much influence as they appear to have, as they're reported to have, can that actually be healthy, Terry? Is it necessarily a bad thing if their decision-making's better?
Well, the team he put out was the oldest team, I think, in World Cup history for Argentina, so he had a good experience. He went totally experienced. And then, you have to rely on your experienced players when it comes down to the crunch match. It is unhealthy if the senior players have a lot of say. I think you've met the manager, you know what he's like. I'm sure he wouldn't like players having their say. I'm sure he wants to have his say. But at the end of the day, as you say, it's the result that matters.
And also in Argentina, it works a little bit different than in England or Spain, where the authority of the manager is undisputed. He's the big guy. He's the one taking the decision. In Argentina, there's different codes in the changing room, with veterans have got a huge power. So, for instance, Sampaoli actually went to Barcelona to meet Messi to talk about the plans that they had. You don't get that with, Southgate and Harry Kane or anything like that. In the past, Maradona had done the same. Once he got called, became the manager of Argentina, first thing he did was go to Barcelona and meet Messi and talk about the plans. adding to that, Sampaoli decided to have a little bit of a preparation for the tournament in Barcelona. So it's a great place, of course, and the facilities are great. The Barcelona Football Club allowed them to have that. But it was also down to, all right, let's do it all as comfortable as we can. And that incident, I spoke to 3 of the players from the national side, for Argentina national side. They obviously didn't hear it. They saw the video and they spoke amongst themselves. Apparently, you have to believe them, apparently, because they all come up with the same story, Sampaoli was saying, right, it's now when we use Kun Agüero. That was the way he was trying to say it. But the same words can be used for, can I use Kun Agüero, please? It was Sampaoli saying, right, we're going with Kun Agüero now. That's what they're saying. And basically Messi went like, okay, because they had discussed that in the last training session before the game, that depending what happened, Kun Agüero was going to come on. So we have to judge it in a little bit different to the rest, but quite clearly, it's very clear that Sampaoli's power has been diminished in this World Cup.
It certainly looks that way, but it might go a long way to kind of getting back some of that power if they manage to beat France at 3 o'clock kick-off, that one in Kazan. And then in the evening, of course, Uruguay against Portugal. You're saying you're looking forward to this one, Terry. It could also be one of those matches that contains lots of incidents that we don't like to see in the game, in inverted commas. It could be quite tasty.
Yeah, it could be, but I mean, Uruguay have calmed down a bit compared to what they were in 1986. They weren't very gentlemanly, put it that way. They smashed the few teams, but they've got players, young players in particular, that want to play their system well. It's a 4-4-2, a loose 4-4-2 with a midfield as well, moving around. But they've got some really good young players backed up with good experience as well. They've got probably the 2 best defenders in the World Cup, I would say. And the two strikers, not the best in the World Cup, but still one of the best partnerships in the World Cup. So they've got good youth, good sprinkling, good system. They know what they're doing. They don't need to go and kick people now. But what they do is they shuffle across, they slide across from midfield in particular, in the back four, and they squeeze players, win the ball, and then they've got fast pace to get and particularly get that service to the 2 strikers. And you know the striker's going to score. Each striker has scored in 3 World Cups, so you know they're going to score again.
Did you hear Luis Suarez in the press conference talking about, pointing out at himself and saying, actually this VAR thing, it means that we cannot roll around, basically. He was saying as much or you know, deceive the referee because everybody's watching us. So that has been with less fouls and less of that kind of behavior. That's been one of the positives of VAR. But still, for Uruguay, it's all about life or death. It really is. That's how they get brought up, and that's what it means to them, the shared and the nation. So, but no goals conceded. And quite clearly they won every game. They have something of that assurance that Terry's talking about, which Portugal don't have. Both Fernando Santos and Cristiano Ronaldo coming out of one of the games from the pitch saying, we're not playing well. And that's exactly what's happening. At the moment they're not playing well.
Well, only 2 players have scored more goals for Uruguay than our next guest, and as Terry was saying, they will both be on the pitch, Suarez and Cavani. Former Atletico Madrid and Manchester United striker Diego Forlán won the Golden Ball as the best player at the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. In Uruguay, the smallest country by far to win a World Cup. They did it twice, in 1930 and 1950. Only 6 countries with a smaller population have ever even qualified for the tournament. So what does Forlán think makes Uruguay unique as a footballing nation?
They love football, and you know, in the street, kids in the schools, wherever you go, you know. Before it was on the streets, now it's more difficult because there's a lot of traffic, and you know, it's not the same as many years ago when I was a kid and we used to play on the street. But it's really nice, you know. Everybody is like, football is everything, and now the national team came back after 2010. Before we were always struggling between qualifying or not, and during the World Cup also when we qualified we didn't do it really well, so the people was not like very positive with the national team. After 2010 everything changed. Now the national team plays in Uruguay, and the stadium is 60,000 people, fully packed. You can see it's different type of fans, the ones that goes to the national championship and the ones who goes to the national team. You can see family, you can see other type. There's no any violence, anything. People come with their kids. They come from outside of Montevideo, from all part of Uruguay, and they travel a lot just to see Uruguay. And this is the atmosphere that Maestro Tavares create and the team, but not him. I think everybody, you know, winning, the type of players, the way we play. It's a different mentality, a different way. But football for us is everything, and you know, our history is really good. You know, rich. We won many things. In South America, we are the national team who won more Copa Americas, and it's unbelievable.
Does that way of thinking about football inform the way that Uruguay play football? Is it different from that kind of Brazilian, South American style? The Uruguayan style isn't like that, is it?
No, it's different. Yeah. Brazilian is more like dancing, happy. The way they play, it's different. They are a big country. And also, you know, with great talents. Ours, it's different. We know something that is good is like we are in the middle between Brazil and Argentina. We are a small country, and we have to survive between them. You know, we have to fight against them, and it's difficult. But this is something that I think it's in our culture. We know that we are a small country, but well, this is what we have. So if we want to do something, we have to compete. And like I said. In football, you know, and this is the only sport that maybe the small country can beat the big one, because in rugby it's much more difficult, in basketball as well, and maybe in NFL or other sports. But in football, everything is equal. You could see England lost with Iceland, so it's not this time. Many times can happen with other teams, like here in the World Cup. So that's why this is something that we know. And when we play against these countries, we know that everything can happen. And also we have good squad, good players. So that why it's going to be difficult as well for them. You know, it's not that. And now everything changed. Before maybe there was more, a little bit from Uruguayan players going to Europe, or also if you compare between Argentina or Brazil. Now if you see all the South American, there are so many players playing in great teams, that their knowledge, everything they experience there, they bring back to their country, and they know, guys, I play with them, I'm good with them, maybe I'm one of the best in my team, and I come here and I can tell you that it's not something different, you know, it's not like they are superstars. No, they are human beings, they are good players, but if I can beat them, why not with the other team? So you can make them learn and, you know, get that experience that before it was like something, you know, very far away, and it was difficult for you to know and to experience.
What about the talent in the squad? You've talked about that as well. Luis Suarez obviously is the headline maker, but it's a complicated World Cup history for Luis Suarez. How is he viewed in Uruguay? Is he the kind of the hero, or is he the villain?
No, he's a hero. Yeah, of course he made mistakes, and he knows it. He paid for it, and there's something, maybe because you are young and sometimes, and the way he feels the game. I'm not, you know, saying that it's okay what he's been doing, and he knows that it's not okay, but sometimes, you know, you made mistakes. It's good that you regret it, and you learn from that. We are in touch, and we have a really good relationship, and we are always talking, and he's a very, very nice guy. He's a different type of guy outside than the way he plays. Yeah, but it's normal. It's happened with many players. But then he now playing in Barcelona, he's more a complete player. You know, he can assist, he can score, because the way the team plays, it's everybody, you know, they assist. Like you can see Coutinho now, Messi, everybody score goals. So I think it was positive for him to be in Barcelona, because he's not only scoring goals, now he's assisting, he's helping the team, and he's developing a much better player. So I think if the national team continue, and of course it depends also in the way of he's going to be playing, because he's a key player for us, I think he will be in the top scorers of the World Cup as well. And be careful, Cavani, you know, because also he's a really good one as well, and he scored his goal.
Yeah, because he's got quite an interesting story with Uruguay, and the way that he's developed and the way that he's been used. Tell us a bit more about his relationship with the national team.
Yeah, he started with us as well at the same time with Luis. He's more, you know, the attacking player. You know, he's more like the goal scorer. He lives by the goal, and you could see it in the last game when he didn't have the chance to score in the first 2 games, and he was, you know, anxious to score a goal. At the end, he got it, and it was very important for us. You know, I was saying in the TV that I'm happy because every striker needs a goal, and his first goal, so he can be more relaxed. And then now that is coming crucial things for us, and like it's in the round 16, it's very important for both of our players who have to score that first goal. And yeah, when he started in 2010, maybe he didn't play as a striker, he played on the side, but as well he was arriving in the box, and he's very physically, he can run up and down the pitch. So that's why Maestro Tavares used him on the side, and then now, you know, past the years, he's now playing in his natural position.
You talked about the defence and the importance of that, particularly in this game. But in a competition where defences haven't really covered themselves in glory, Uruguay looked very solid. And one of the players, there's always someone at a World Cup who comes to the fore, and Godin is someone who now everybody is talking about. Suddenly all the newspapers are full of links with moves to Manchester United. They said that's not happening, but everybody's talking about him. Why is he so good? Why is he so solid? Is it about the defenders around him? Is it about his own qualities? What do you think?
Of course it's his quality. He's in a good age, 32 years old. He's quick, he's tall. He's been playing in Europe for so many years now in Atletico Madrid. He has a good coach, Simeone, and they are doing really well. They are really the way they play. It's more or less the same way as the national team plays. They defend well. They're tough, and also we have the advantage that we have Jimenez, which both of them played together in Atletico Madrid. So now they play together in the national team. Of course, he's now injured. I don't know if he's going to play or not. At the moment, it's we don't have any clue about it. But also the other players we have around, they've been playing together so many years. They've been growing together, you know. And the way Uruguay also play, if you see all the games and you see Uruguay, of course the opponents were not that tougher like other teams. But it's difficult to see Uruguay, you know, in the other team. Imagine, I don't know, I'm not saying Portugal, I'm saying others, getting the ball and having a counter-attack, and Uruguay being, you know, open. It's difficult. We are always tight behind, very defensively. So it's easy for a defender because, you know, on the side you have help always. So that's why also I think it's a mix of everything that makes him so good.
Terry, Diego Forlan talking about Godin there, and is a player that you've singled out in the not just in the Uruguay side, but of this World Cup. Why do you love him?
He's dependable, he's strong, he's brave, he's tough, makes good decisions, comes forward with the ball. Do you want me to keep going? He heads the ball well, blocks, uses his position well, and for me, he does it aggressively, he does it strongly, but he does it fairly. He doesn't resort to bad tactics and kicking people in terms of going down the back of the legs or the little tricks that professionals have, that I used to have, enjoyed, but he doesn't need to do that. He reads it so well. He's not the quickest, but he's quickest in the brain. I think that counts for a lot. But as a defender, I love seeing him play because he does a simple thing. If he's got to kick it out, he kicks it out. If he's going to kick it long, kicks it long. If he's going to win the header, he wins the header. But he wants to pass, and the understanding he has as well with his centre-half partner is immense. For me, the team that wins the World Cup is the best defence, and particularly the two best centre-halves, because they're the ones that have got to deal with everything else. And he doesn't mind going out of the middle, doesn't do this and all that. So perhaps I should be his agent. I don't know. I've done a good job there.
There's certainly a lot of rumours about him being touted around for moves. He's really caught everybody's eye at this World Cup at 32 years of age. But Forlan there was talking about his relationship with Jimenez, as you were saying, that comes from Atletico Madrid, and making comparisons between the way they play and the way that Uruguay play.
Yeah, I think we should abandon the idea that the World Cup is a place where we're going to see the best football. it is a place where we're going to see the brightest lights and the biggest stars together and stuff like that. But the thing that makes football be played well is the continuity of training together, of understanding each other. So when you actually manage to get that into the national side somehow, that's a win-win situation. So you've got Cavani and Luis Suarez who play together for 10 years. You've got Jimenez and Godin who play for Atletico Madrid, and there is a mixture there, as Terry was saying, of quality in the defensive duties. There's leadership as well. I love seeing the other day when he actually Godin went to attack a corner, but before he actually got into the box, he turned around and makes sure that everybody was marking everybody and everything was in their place before he actually went to attack that corner. So he's 100% focused that whole time. And in Jimenez, you've got somebody who's got that pace that Godin hasn't got, the anticipation, the intelligence. In a recent game, Atletico and Barcelona, Messi disappeared completely. Jimenez was just there to stop him all the time. So those associations is what makes Uruguay special.
And the fact that they're the only team in this tournament not to have conceded so far, I mean, it's no surprise really, but the importance of defence and going for title, you think it's the team with the best defence that will win it? So are Uruguay contenders then?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they've not breezed out of the group. There were some tough games there, but they got out of the group and they're getting better. They're improving, the understanding's improving. Jimenez picked up an injury, didn't he? So he was out, but he scored. And they contribute at both ends of the two centre-halves. But I mean, the more you look at them, and the more you think, well, yeah, come on. This Portugal game is good for them as well, because they're up against Ronaldo. They know Ronaldo. They know how to play against him as well. So they're pretty knowledgeable, and they'll fancy it against Portugal. You know, when Portugal, their record, have lost one competitive match, and I don't know how 17, 18 or what it is, or whatever it is. They know how to win games, but so do Uruguay as well.
Plus, they've got that relationship with the shirt, haven't they? And with the nation and the fact that
told a great story about that shirt.
Shall I tell the story?
Yes, tell the story.
Well, basically, when you actually made your debut with the national side, one of the veterans brings you the shirt, folded, and very nicely clean, sharp, new shirt, saying, "Right, guy, kid, you can use this. Remember, this is the shirt that was used by Nasasi and Petrone in the 30s and Gigi and Abdullah Varela in the 50s. So respect it." So Godin remembers, I was told the story about Godin, remembers putting the shirt on in a friendly against Mexico. At the end of the game, of course, he goes into the showers and he hangs the shirt gets on the floor, and somebody says, "Kid, that shirt, never on the floor. Respect it." So he knew probably at that moment, even more when he was handed the shirt, which is one of the things that happened when you made your debut. He realized there the importance of the shirt, and it's not just the shirt, of course, it's of defending your nation, and of they are mixed in the middle of two giants, Argentina and Brazil, and still holding their own. That's something that they want to continue, this new generation of players, of course.
Well, their World Cup continues this evening. Uruguay against Portugal kicks off at 7 o'clock. Before that, it's France against Argentina. That one is a 3 o'clock kickoff, and it's not just about the World Cup today. First silverware of the domestic cricket season will be handed out today. The Royal London One Day Cup final is happening as we speak at Lord's. It's Hampshire against Kent, and here's Simon Mann.
Well, Kent haven't won a Lord's final for 40 years, and they're up against it. They put Hampshire into bat. They're 135 for no wicket in the 22nd over. Tom Alsop, a 22-year-old left-hander, is 71 not out, and Riley Russo, the South African, who had emergency dental surgery after being hit in the face in the semi-final, is 55 not out, and Kent haven't really looked like taking wicket. Having said that, they have chased really well in this competition, so Hampshire will need a big score, and they're heading for one. 22 overs bowled, Hampshire 136 for no wicket.
And full commentary of that over on 5 Live Sports Extra right now, and Simon will keep us up to date here on 5 Live Sport with everything that's happening. The British Athletics Championships is in Birmingham. Former British 400-metre champion Alison Kerbishley and our correspondent Mike Costello are there. We'll talk about today in a moment, but there's been big news this morning about one of Britain's best athletes over the last decade or so, Mike.
Yes, Christine Ohurugu, twice world champion and Olympic champion, 2008 over 400 metres, announced her retirement at the age of 34. She leaves with a reputation as one of Britain's greatest ever athletes. Those 2 World Championship golds, as I say, and the Olympic gold. And Like Usain Bolt and many great champions, she had this knack of producing her very best when it mattered. Time and again, her fastest clocking of the season was in her most important race of the season. The Olympic final of 2008 in Beijing was one of the most memorable races that I've had the privilege of hers to commentate on. She moved from 5th place coming into the home straight to the gold medal position. An unforgettable performance. She won gold in the World Championships either side of that in 2007, again in 2013. That latter one in a British record time. The record had stood previously to Kathy Cook for almost 30 years. So she was talking to us at the World Championships in our commentary position last year at the London Stadium, saying motivation was getting harder and harder to come by. So this isn't surprise news, and she leaves with a very impressive legacy.
Ali, how do you reflect on her career?
Do you know what? She was a special athlete on the track. I remember vividly watching her in 2004, the first time we'd ever seen her. It took a while to learn how to surname, and that was the media walking around going, who is this Christina Ohu? And Ohurugu just became a name that we became synonymous with 400 metre running. She ran in the Olympic trials then. I remember talking to her coach Lloyd Cowan, who said, you watch this girl. He said, I've had to bring her from netball. She loves her netball, but I've seen her. She's an absolute talent and a half when I can get hold of her. And from then on, from 2005 onwards, she became, I mean, she's up there now with Merlin Ottey and Usain Bolt holding the most successive global championships between 05 at the World Champs all the way through to Rio in 2016. Our sport is not a long sport. You get usually a window of 4 or 5 years. This woman has dominated, and I think there'll be a lot of people very sad that we're not going to see her on the track here, but there'll be a lot of girls running in the 400 metres that are very happy she isn't lining up.
I can imagine that, certainly. What is happening today, though, Mike?
At the moment, heats are underway in the men's 100 metres. The top seeds have been given byes into the semi-finals at around 3:05, but there's a great buzz around the 100 metres here. Potentially one of the most competitive and therefore the quickest in the long history of these championships. This is the first season post Usain Bolt in the men's 100 metres, and British sprinters have shown themselves to be ready to challenge for global supremacy. The likes of Zarnell Hughes, whose best this season of 9.91 seconds leaves him 4th in the world. Reece Prescott has won a Diamond League race. CJ Ujar, Nathaniel Mitchell-Blake also shown that they belong at the highest level. This could be a very special event here today.
Mike Costello, Alison Kirbishley, thank you very much for joining us. You can watch the British Athletics Championships by pressing the red button on your television remote control. Coming up here in Moscow, we're going to be looking ahead to France against Argentina, that 3 o'clock kickoff, and we're going to be talking about the possibilities of the Golden Boot. All that coming up after the BBC News with Joe Critcher.
On digital, online, smartphone and tablet, this is BBC 5 Live.
Medical procedures such as breast reductions and tonsil removals could soon be limited on the NHS in England. The government wants to eliminate treatments which are either too risky or ineffective before increasing funding for the health service. United Utilities is warning if people don't limit the amount of water they're using, it could have to introduce a hosepipe ban. In Northern Ireland, a ban came into force last night. A German firm, ThyssenKrupp, is set to merge with Tata, which owns the largest steelworks in Britain in Port Talbot in South Wales. 4,000 jobs could be lost across Europe as part of the deal. And there's a warning UK supermarkets could run out of lettuce as early as next week. Growers say the extreme heat has stopped the crop from growing at the same time as demand has increased.
This is BBC 5 Live on digital, smart speaker, smartphone and tablet.
Let's take a look at the roads now. In Lancashire on the M6 northbound, traffic is queuing because of a broken down lorry between junction 30 and junction 31 for Samlesbury. In London on the M25 clockwise, an earlier accident involving 8 cars, a lorry and a horse box is still causing problems. There are long delays between junction 14 for Heathrow Terminal 4 back to junction 9. Travel time there is currently 50 minutes. Still in London on the M4 Heathrow Spur Road, an accident is causing delays. 2 lanes are shut from just before the main M4 carriageway back to junction 4A. And in Hampshire on the M3 southbound, traffic's queuing because of an earlier accident between junction 6 for Basingstoke and junction 7. Joe Critcher, 5 Live Travel.
Robbie Savage's World Cup breakfast.
Is that the Chris Sutton? Yes, the Chris Sutton.
Alex Scott, who won 140 caps for the Lionesses.
Good morning.
Good morning, Scholesy.
Good morning.
Who have you been impressed with?
Jordan Anderson.
Let's bring in our good friend, Rio Ferdinand.
I think it's added an entertainment value to the game.
I'm the man of the nation. I'm
going to tell you, not speaking for me.
Robbie Savage's World Cup breakfast. Back Monday morning from 8:30
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
Live from Russia, this is 5 Live Sport with Kelly Cates.
Hello, welcome back to our studio here in Red Square in Moscow, where we're building up to commentary of France against Argentina in the last 16 of the World Cup. That one kicks off at 3 o'clock. Terry Butcher and Guillaume Balaguer are here with me. Uruguay-Portugal, the later kick-off, 7 o'clock. We'll hear a bit more from Diego Forlán very shortly. But there is one possible outcome of today, without looking ahead too far into the tournament. But if Argentina and Portugal were to win, it could be Messi against Ronaldo in the quarter-final. That would be fun, wouldn't it, Guillaume?
That would be interesting, because they are two deficient sides that rely so much on their stars. Perhaps even Portugal rely more on Ronaldo than Argentina and Messi, slightly, because Ronaldo has been the one scoring more for them, more shots on goal, the one who's provoked more fouls. He's absolutely everything to them. That has got two sides to it, of course. When it really goes everything through him, and he wants the ball and he picks it in the wrong spaces, it actually stops the fluidity of Portugal. When he actually plays as a number 9, which he has done in 3/4 of the World Cup, then you've got the most dangerous player in the tournament, perhaps. So let's see what Ronaldo we will get in that case, because I tell you what, he would like to be the star of that game somehow.
There are murals outside the Argentina team hotel that have been posted on the pictures of them have been posted on social media today. It's one of Cristiano Ronaldo, one of Lionel Messi, and the one of Cristiano Ronaldo said, "Cristiano scored 4 goals. What have you got for us, Leo?" And the challenge is already there. I mean, it would reach fever pitch, wouldn't it, Terry?
Yes, it would, but I've got a stat here that says Ronaldo's yet to score a knockout goal in the World Cup. In the knockout stages, it's 424 minutes without scoring a goal.
Yeah.
So you think he's going to break that, wouldn't you?
I'm talking from memory. I think Messi's only scored once.
Yeah, well, it's one more than Ronaldo.
I think
It's one up already. But
I think, but it is hard. It's the hardest part of the tournament, of course. And to be honest, the World Cup that was going to be Messi's World Cup, which is the Brazil one, at that point, after 3 games in the group stage, stopped being Leo Messi's Argentina to become Mascherano's Argentina. The team dropped deeper. He wasn't at his fittest, and it was the same with Ronaldo. We haven't seen a fit Ronaldo since the European Championships in Portugal, really, 2004. So
yeah.
Since then we have killed them. We just want them to see them all the time, and I think it's only been Ronaldo in the last 2 years when he said, actually, all right, I'm superhuman, but you know, I've got my kryptonite, which is playing too much, so I'll rest a little bit. And then we've seen a sharp Ronaldo, the hero of our times, who chooses his moments, who likes the glory, who likes the big stage. Messi, on the other hand, the beginning of this season, he sees that there's depression all over around him because Neymar is leaving and they lose against Real Madrid in the Spanish Super Cup, and he's like, I'll take over the side, put it on my shoulders. And he wants to play absolutely everything, which means that perhaps he's not at his sharpest now. So maybe not a hero of our times, but a hero of Barcelona. So that's what we're getting, not the sharpest perhaps Messi, and a Ronaldo that certainly focused all his attention in these big last 3 months of the season.
Yeah, and he's currently 1 goal behind Harry Kane in the race for the Golden Boot. So Ronaldo has 4. Diego Forlán finished joint top scorer in 2010 on 5, although Thomas Müller officially awarded the Golden Boot for having more assists in this game. So do the top players target these individual awards?
In my experience, when I was playing, I was not thinking about anything of that. I was playing. I wanted the national team to go forward, because if you start thinking about that and the national team doesn't go forward, it's the only thing is that you can score maybe 10 goals in 1 game. That's the only chance you can win it if your national team doesn't go through. But this was something that maybe you could think about it at the end when you are in semi-finals and you say, okay, I'm close. This is there are only 4 teams, and maybe within the 4 teams, only 2 had goal scorers, and the other one they didn't score many goals. You know, so it's not like you think all the time. It's more like you play, you enjoy. It's like I said, you need to enjoy. something that Argentina had in this World Cup. They had the obligation to win the World Cup. They came here to win it. It's like many times happened with England, being the best team with so many great players, and now you can see them here all around. And I used to play with him at United, or maybe against in England, and you can see that they, being with the best league in the world, they had the obligation to win it. And when you have the obligation to win it, you don't win anything. You know, it's something that you need to enjoy. You need to, like, okay, we come here to compete. We are gonna. If you see, there's so many national teams, so good ones with great players, and only one is gonna win it. So it's not gonna be a failure if you don't win it.
Let's talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, because he's a team. Were you his translator?
Yeah, I was.
Why?
Well, he came and I speak many languages, and one of them is Portuguese and English, because I studied when I was in Uruguay when I was at school, and then when I arrived in England, it was easy for me. So in that time, Sir Alex, you have to translate him every time, because we were in the team talk before a game, and Sir Alex wanted to say something to him, and he didn't understand. So that's why I was always there talking to him and trying to make him understand what Sir Alex. It was difficult to understand Sir Alex as well at the beginning, but then it was okay.
That attitude that we see from him. I mean, you talk about you have to enjoy the process. It's not about going for the golden boot at the beginning of the tournament. But Cristiano, do you think he's going for the golden boot right from the beginning?
I don't know. His way of living, maybe, he likes challenges, and it's the way. Maybe he's the type of guy, the different type of guy, But he achieved so many things that maybe, for him it's okay to be like that. But like I said, in this kind of competition, it's different, like in the league, because you're gonna play 38 games, and you're gonna have the chance to fight for being the top scorer. In this kind of competition, I think, and we see a different Ronaldo, because you can see he's more a team player. Of course, he's the one who finishes and score goals, but there are other players you can see, and we don't see so selfish, scoring goals, shooting from every angle. He's more, he wants to score. It's his way of playing, and this is why he's the type of player and one of the best players in the world. But yeah, gonna be a little percentage about thinking about that, because his goal is something that he has inside, and he needed to be the way the player he is now, and the one of the best in the history, So, but I don't think he's gonna be, like, okay, I need to score, because he knows that if he doesn't play well, and if the other players don't score the goals, or he doesn't score, they are gonna get out of the competition. And you could see the other day, Quaresma, when he scored the goals in the image, you could see that he celebrated really well, because if you go to Madrid, many times he doesn't run, he's not that happy like when he scores. And you could see, because all the cameras are on him every time. And in this case, the other day, that was something I took my eye, and I saw him and said, he's happy because he scored the goals, and then it was good for him, because if not, he's gonna be out, and there's no chance for fighting for being the best player to win the Golden Ball in the World Cup, or also winning the Golden Boot.
Has he always been like that? Has he always been that driven, even when he first came to Manchester United?
Always. Yeah, always. He was always training hard. It was funny, because we always stayed after training, and on one side I was doing my work, and on the other side he was doing his work, and he was always driven. He knew that he has the ability to be a good player, and he worked hard, and he's working still now. And you could see the way his feet working, always challenge. He likes that challenge. He likes to accomplish all those kind of things, and that's why he's playing as a top player till now, and he will be playing for many years.
And he's going to be playing against Uruguay in the round of 16.
It's going to be tough for him.
How do you stop him?
I think I'm not worried about him. It's not. Of course, I have to be careful. But we are a very defensive team. We know how to play. We have really good defenders. Cáceres on the right. Maybe he's going to be playing on the right. We have Godin. I don't know Jimenez if he's gonna play. He's a little bit, you know, with the thigh, some muscle problem. Then it's Coates. He playing a little bit, not too much in Liverpool. He's playing now in Sporting Lisbon. And on the left we have Laxala. I'm not worried about defensively. Of course, I have to be careful, and we have to be, you know, more concentrated than in other times, you know. But Uruguay is always, we respect everybody. We respect Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and now Portugal. It's not like we change. We are doing the same with everybody, you know. And it's a great player, difficult to play against, but I'm confident with the defense, you know, and the team how it's doing.
If you stop Ronaldo, do you stop Portugal?
I think we stop 50% of the team, you know. But you have to be careful, you know. They have good players, guys that they play well with the ball, but he's a very important player for them. Hopefully, I hope it's going to be like that, you know. If you stop him, they are going to stop. But I think the way he's on